with that strong energy.
Welcome to Soul, Light, and Body. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Incredible.
Today is such a beautiful day because we are here once again and we are given that opportunity to make changes in our lives. We are given that opportunity so we could go internal. We could look within ourselves, see the things that are now really working in our lives, and we could really start to make those baby steps. And we will experience that shift. We will experience that alignment happening in our lives. But you know what? We got to be honest with ourselves and we got to be willing enough to make that shift. I hope that you continue to do your journaling. I hope you continue to show gratitude every day that you wake up. Be grateful. Be grateful for life. That's the most important thing. Be grateful for life. Because we are given this golden opportunity every day that we rise from our beds. We are given this golden opportunity to make some sort of impact in this world, to help humanity, to help someone to see their light. Let's just show up and be present. Enjoy each moment that you live. It's very precious. If you really desire to see those changes in your life, you got to go within. You got to reprogram the subconscious mind. Because when you do that, you start to see things start to align in your life. People start to show up in your life so you make connections. And that is how it all gets started. Be gracious with yourself. Show yourself some love and compassion. That's so important. Today we got such a beautiful topic. We got a beautiful panel and the topic is transition. Many of us, we are transitioning into something. A divorce, a marriage, a new career. Children probably transitioning to go to college. How are families dealing with that? How is that child feeling at that point in time? The emotions going into this new space. So we all are transitioning into something. So today we got this panel and we're going to really bring it home to you. Get your pen, get your notepad, your whatever you're going to write on today. Just get something. Prepare yourself to receive some value today that will really help you on your journey. It will really help you to understand that whatever experience or situation you're going through at this point in time, we can help you. We can give you some tools that you could add to your toolbox to take you on this journey. So grab your cup of tea, your coffee, your green juice, your glass of water, whatever. Just grab something, make yourself comfortable, go in that chair, sit down and relax, and let's take this ride together. We're going to ride for 1 hour. We're riding here for 1 hour. So I'm Karen Pascal, holistic health and wellness coach and the co-author of 2 ebooks with my sister Joan Williams. We also have 2 digital magazines and 1 digital magazine and a hard copy magazine. And you could free to subscribe because it's all free. You could subscribe. And we have some more beautiful things that we're going to be bringing for Soul, Light, and Body in the near future. And I'll now hand you over to Joan. Joan?
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for always a great opening. And today's a special day because we got amazing people. I know we always say our guests are amazing, but yes, they are. Because the level of value that they bring to Soul, Light, and Body and fill that space and enrich it. And so that you can have the opportunity to receive that. You take what works for you, and then just leave what the rest what is. But today I'm going to ask you one question. What space are you in, and what are you transitioning from or in? What does it feel like? The challenges that you're encountering? How are you feeling in that space? Because sometimes, well, we all move in different spaces at different periods of our lives. When we're in our 20s, this happened, our 30s, our 40s. And every stage in life, different things happen, different challenges. How do we embrace that? How do we find the strength and the courage and the resiliency to go through something and still bounce back and be strong and have that level of courage? Are you able to reach in your inner core, your inner space, able to go into that inner space that nobody else can reach but you and whatever spiritual practice with us, with it's God, and can go to that space and harness that strength, that willpower, so that you can stand strong as a man or a woman and really continue on that journey called life. Sit with that and think about it. Are you able to set your intentions today? And one of the things about intentions, it has to be clear. It has to have a level of clarity, so that you can able then, when you set that intention, you can move with a level of confidence and know very definitive, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. And then whatever spiritual practice that you involve in or appreciate or love, that you can able to reach to that source to continue to receive that guidance, that little whisper. And are you able to look in the mirror and reaffirm to yourself every day, I'm special, I'm unique, I'm one of a kind, I'm walking in my greatness, I'm walking in my excellence? Because when you show up in the world, how do you show up? You show up walking in your power, given the level of value to any space that you walk in, regardless whatever it is. So people can feel that level of energy when you show up, because you can become whatever your expertise are and your purposes. People may say, yes, I can go to her because I know if I contact her, she can deliver. She can give me the level of quality that I am looking for, that can enhance my life to live my purpose and shine my light as an individual. So today, I just want you to sit with that. Think about it. And that's what we try to bring on Soul, Light, and Body. Every time we're on, we're working on a couple of projects. Remember, if you're not receiving our digital magazine, let us know, subscribe. If you're not receiving our printed copy, you know, let us know. We can, because it's a nice additional piece that you can add to your nightstand. Great articles. We got great expert who are writing the space that they're in and sharing with us. My name is Joan Williams, holistic health and wellness coach, and also the co-author of the ebooks and all these things that we're working on. But today, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that we can all collaborate and come together. We got our great guests today: Barack, Laura, Marissa. I know Corey is going to join us as well, and Karen and I. I don't think I'm missing anyone name, but let's just sit today, relax, sit in your comfortable chair, and just remind yourself that who you are and who you're becoming. So welcome to all of you today, and welcome to the audience, those who is here and those who are going to catch us on the replay. Welcome. We love all of you.
Thank you, girls.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm going to start this off because I was just thinking about transition, and I know we may not go into the full story, but Barack, boy, you want to talk about transition, the energy and the connectivity of the experience of transitioning personally with your story. But I love this word. I love the framework of it. So many of you know, through the science of empowerment, it is about life transformation. And that is transitioning through so much of what we do on a daily basis. So I just want to give a shout out on a private note for your transition that you're going through, whether you share it or not. But
Thank you.
also, as Karen and Joan were saying, I think when we have skills and we have tools, we have beliefs, in something, and it could be faith, it could be new education, the new sciences. When we have certain modalities that we can rely on, this is what also helps through transitions. I think so many of us within the human condition, we get led astray because when transitions present themselves, we don't necessarily have what it takes to move through them with alignment, with proper energy, with proper connectivity. And that's what makes them so challenging. So I think something, with soul, light, and body, and everything that we're doing, we definitely individually and collectively can offer the skills, the tools, the knowledge to help transitions be something of a more positive, empowering journey rather than, say, a challenge that disrupts, right, the evolution of that transition.
Beautiful, Laura.
That's
Yeah.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
Barack?
I mean, it's really great. I think a lot of times, we get scared of change, and it can be one of the most fearful things that we experience. But the funny thing is that we usually put out into the universe for some kind of change or some kind of development in our life that we're asking for. And we have to realize that we have to go through the transition in order to receive the gifts and receive the abundance that we're meant to receive. It's like, in order to change and in order to come into the life that you want to come into, you really have to accept it and be open-minded to it. As Laura said, I just went through a big transition. I was adopted when I was a few days old. I just got in contact with my birth mother. So it's been really an incredible journey the last couple of weeks. And I think just embracing the things that you ask for, they say, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it, and I think embracing those things and stepping onto a new path, being open-minded to it, it can just open your world up to a whole new possibilities. And, if you can remove the set of expectations you have, you can just begin to enjoy the experience.
Right.
That's nice. I like
That is-
that.
Mm-hmm.
The art of non-attachment, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think something, Barack, to bounce off of you, when we think about transition, a lot of times we focus on the outward manifestation, the things that we want, the jobs that we want, the relationship that we want. And I just went through transition, not quite as profound, Barack, as yours, but I left my corporate career of 10 years to go full-time into a healing practice. And it wasn't until I spent a lot of time doing the transition internally that things started to fall in place, because I think we can control, right, things that we can touch and hold and move and decisions that we make. But it's really, when it comes down to transitioning, is when we can change the way we think about things, when we can change what we're asking for, the way we perceive the events in our life, the internal stuff, everything else on the outside falls into place, and you wonder why we struggled so hard to try to control everything in the first place. So yeah, I think the art of non-attachment and really focusing on how you want to feel and how you want to move, and then allowing things to meet you where you are, and just focus on the stuff that you can do within yourself has been really profound for me.
And just the natural, right, unfolding, right? It's built into the human condition to resist change, resist transition, and especially going from corporate energy into this beautiful, gift of service to others. And it's built in. And, at the Science of Empowerment, we always coach on that beautiful artistry of recalibrating and moving from resistance into expansion, really allowing ourselves to see when there is a challenge, that upfront energetic emotional reaction, and learning to let it be more of a mechanism of transition, and start to align with what transition can mean for you and how it actually can advance your mindset, your experiences out in the world. So I think, transition is perception. And if we can really remember that we're in the power seat of choice of how we look at transition, and we place the alignment of it is something good for me, it is something healing for me, it is something beneficial for the collective, right? Because when we do, as Marissa said, that internal transition, we become the better version of ourselves, which adds more light into the global family. And I think that's really what we're all here for. So transition for me, when you set yourself up with skills, with tools, education, podcasts, coaches, all of that, all of those healing mechanisms, it really can be not only welcomed, but fun, exciting, exploratory, and very empowering to allow ourselves to move through it rather than come up against it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Corry?
No, Corey's not here.
That's right, Corey. No,
Yeah.
I was saying my question is, how do we move when we know that we're about to experience a level of transition and we're in one season and in one space and we feel very complacent in that space and we know that we can see the light to move in towards that new season. How do we navigate with that pull backwards and pull forward? How do we navigate to move to what is in front of us?
Yeah.
I'm throwing the question out to the panel.
I have a lot to say, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
Go. Let's
Go ahead, Marissa. Yeah.
Go.
I love talking about the mind and the power of the mind. So this is really kind of my thing. What I have found is fear holds us back. And just to get into like the neuroscience for a quick second, is fear is in us to keep us safe, right? And so this courage to move through transition is not a matter of getting rid of that fear, because we need the fear to be there in case we're attacked by a bear or we need to run, right? We don't want to totally get rid of our fear, but it's a matter of rewiring what it is we're allowing to trigger that fear response. And we're wired to fear change because we don't know what's on the other side of it. Our brain wants to keep us comfortable and keep us safe and know what to expect. And so, sure, this corporate cushy job is comfortable. It's making me miserable, but it's comfortable. I know what to expect every day. This whole thing out in the world is really scary. Don't do that because you could die. You could fail. You could, right? And so I think for me, really establishing a practice of mindfulness and meditation, because the thing with transition, we don't know what's on the other side. There's no way for us to know what's on the other side. But what we can do is build our resiliency and build our trust within ourselves to know that no matter what happens, we will be able to navigate it, because we've gotten ourselves this far. And like, we wouldn't be faced with this opportunity for evolution if we weren't ready for it, based on everything we've already done and proven to ourselves.
Right. I love that. That's a built-in empowerment, right?
Yeah.
Already, just to know. I'd like to, something that we do over at the Science of Empowerment, even at our neuromuscular training facility that the rest of the team here knows, where we really teach mind-body awareness and that connection to it. Always remember that fear, the word, so we don't allow that word to come into the facility. We actually have a phenomenal acronym for it, and it's the way that my brother and I were basically raised. We were fearless. It's just what my parents did for us. Forever empowered and resourceful. So when you start to come up against that block, that mental, emotional mindset block, I'm scared. Remind yourself that there is this innate genius, this brilliance within. You have the ability and the potential, and I firmly believe it is your birthright, to tap into that genius state of knowing. That doesn't mean we ignore the moments when there's self-preservation up front. But do not let that be the block. Do not let that be the reason that you do not advance, that you do not expand past that moment, because there's just that beautiful alchemy in that journey of taking, right, that transitional exploration into what the mind is telling you, which is based out of neuroscience, patterns, algorithms, habits, beliefs that don't necessarily equate to the truth. Right? The truth is we are brilliant and we are genius and we are living potentiality in every moment of the day. It's the blocks that we place upon ourselves, i.e., limitations, that most of the outside world has placed within the construct of our thinking. It is not who we are. We are mad geniuses. We are so beyond capable. Do not let anything stop you. Dream big, create even bigger, connect and tap into that part. Allow transition to be the vehicle to your advancement.
Wow, that was so beautifully said. That was
That
so
is
beautifully
beautiful.
said.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. I think, a lot of times when we experience change, everything goes out the window. All of our thoughts, all of our hopes, and everything that we've been doing up until that point kind of gets put to the side. And it's like we can only focus on what's in front of us.
Right.
I remember I was just listening to a story about a guy, and he wasn't happy, and he was praying for, you know, more advancement in his career. He was praying for a better financial situation. And within a week or two, he got fired. And he was just freaking out. He was telling people, like, this is crazy. Like, I want a better life. I've been asking, praying so hard. And now I've lost everything. And when you experience that change, it's like you get go in tunnel vision and you can only see what's right in front of you. And I think, what Marissa and Laura said, going inside and recalibrating, it's so important because you have to ask yourself, well, what is it that I've been seeking? What is it that I'm looking for? How could this be a transition into the path that I've truly desired? And when you start recalibrating and going within and changing your thought patterns, then you can really begin to see, like, okay, this is a multi-step journey. In order for me to get to where I want to go, this, and this has to happen. It has to be, I have to lose my job because I'll never leave unless I get fired. I have to break up with this relationship because I'll stay here forever if I want something happier. So I think, we have to look at what we truly desire because, like Marissa said, our internal state is always going to manifest. So if internally we're looking for something much deeper in our life, we have to realize that we're going to go through some sort of transition phase so that our internal paradigm can match our external lifestyle.
Very nice.
Wow,
Very
that's
nice.
beautiful.
Yes.
And
I think
go ahead, Marissa.
Laura.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think it one thing that can ease that transition is we're so used to asking, oh, why is this happening to me? Why did this happen to me? It's all happening for you. So when you can reframe and kind of like work with the universe to say, all right, help me understand why this is happening for me and point me in the direction I'm supposed to go. It really soothes things that on the outside look scary and terrible, but helps you kind of accept the path that you asked for, and don't have any control on how it actually unfolds.
Right.
And I also think to remember that energy is in everything, every experience, every thought, every reaction, every interaction. And even though you can journal and meditate and do 1,000 affirmations and speak out, I want a new job or I want a new love, if you're feeling not worthy of the money, not worthy of the love, yes, guess what happens? The universe is a magnet to the way our energetic construct is. So we have Christine asking, does it all have to happen at once? But yes, sometimes it does. Sometimes,
Does.
right, the brick hits you on the head all at once because the habits, the patterns, the behaviors, and the beliefs are so seeded into our psyche, into our biology, into the chemistry of how we move through our day, that even though we're speaking one way, we're really resonating at another level. And this is where that beautiful movement of creating that transition, of tapping into our potential, begins to advance our experiences. And we do this through the awareness of energy: negative, positive, neutral. Negative doesn't have to be a bad, evil energy, but it is a quantum energy. Neutrality allows us this beautiful resting ridge to look, reflect, observe, plan, intend, to go into more positive frequency. And I think there's some beautiful, ways that we can all do that. But definitely remind yourself, energy is in everything. So you may be thinking money, 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 but in your gut, I'm not worthy, or we've always been poor, or it's only for the wealthy, and how am I going to do it? There's a path to follow that will enlighten that journey for you. Trust, let it unfold. And yeah, sometimes it all comes crashing down, but then that means there's some aspect of you that created that level of contrast to thrust you out of that state into something in its opposition, so much more powerful and empowering.
Absolutely
Wow.
right. I love what you just
That's
said,
so
because
Yeah.
many times we keep asking for things,
Yeah.
but are we prepared to take the journey,
Yeah.
what we're asking for? So that is why we have to be so careful what we're asking for. Because many times, okay, fine, we may ask for a new job, right? We may ask for money, as Laura said, we may ask for money. But the period that we have to go through is an interruption. And it could be an interruption from your last job. And then you would say, oh my God, I lost my job. Why did I lose my job? How am I going to maintain myself? But you asked for a new job. So there
Yeah.
have to be an interruption period.
Yeah.
So what you do in that interruption period is to come to the acknowledgement what you asked for in that period of time. So when you, as Laura rightfully said, that's the neutral stage.
Mm-hmm.
You come to that awakening, understanding, you know what, I asked for a new job, I asked for more money, and this is a phase that I have to go through. So while I'm in this resting phase, I will go within myself, into my subconscious, and reprogram myself so I could open myself to the new things that is going to be coming into my life, where I'm going to gain the money that I'm looking for. So it's all what you ask for, preparing yourself, understanding the transition period that you're going to be going through for what you're asking for. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
True.
Yeah. Discomfort is a prerequisite to transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
That-
I listened to something the other day, and it was a man talking, and you may have already heard this, a man talking about lobsters and how lobsters grow, and how they use discomfort as the signal to shed their exoskeleton and go somewhere safe and grow a new one. And I think there's so much that can be learned, like when we notice the patterns in nature, but discomfort is what forces us to grow. It's what pushes us to evolve as a society. So looking at discomfort of like, yeah, it sucks in the moment, it sucks and it's hard, but knowing that you have to go through it, because on the other side is something that's so much more beautiful than you could have imagined for yourself.
Absolutely.
That's
You're
that
absolutely
is
right.
so true. And it's both Barack and Laura and yourself and Karen mentioned, but that is where, whether you want to call it interruption or disruption, that's essential. That has got to happen so that we can evolve in the new level, in the new space. And then, as Marissa, you mentioned about mindset, and Laura, you talk about worthy, because we got to have to get to the space of feeling worthy of ourselves, that we can receive what is come to us. As Barak said, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. So
Yeah.
it's so beautiful that we can explain this out, and for our audience who are listening to, you got to have that mindset.
Yeah. And don't allow your present condition to limit you, right? This is not a stagnant experience here. We are creatures of fluidity, of expansion, and every moment of resistance is only in place to bring you to that next level. And I think if we can work that mindset so that, oh, here it is. Now I know, I'm informed, I'm educated, I'm a highly positive, intelligent, thinking human. This transition, this resistance, this is not here to block me. This is here so I can use my skills, use the power of my thoughts to create something even broader than what I have been limited to. So many of us think that what we come into or what we've created up until this point, that's it. That's our stop sign. It is not. We are to create and grow and evolve at every point. And that is not to mean that we dismiss the beauty of the process and all of what comes with it. But again, use the power of thought and redesign your experiences through your thinking. And there's such a beautiful mastery in this. I personally very rarely feel anything negative in my life anymore. I run through the formula
True.
many times a day. I pull on those principles, I pull on the universal laws, and I can recalibrate pretty much on a dime now. But it was a skill. I wasn't always proficient at this. I read, I study, I'm disciplined. I allow things to come in and through me. I no longer allow energy to come into me and stop. And I just think there's ways through the podcast, through our books, through our coaching, that people who are out there that are feeling less than empowered, here right now is a panel of humans that you can reach out to.
Yes.
Femigod, this is a amazing community of women, empowering women. There's so many avenues to travel on to help be supported, to uplift, shift, recalibrate, transform through transitions that actually will benefit you and the collective family, and really become a point of light in this world, which we all need more of. And I think transition for me is an absolute positive on the scale of the human experience. It really does not have to be a stagnation. It does not have to be a negative. It absolutely can be something of beauty and of great purpose.
Absolutely right. You're
Greatly said.
absolutely right, Corey. Because we need welcome, Corey.
Corey.
Hi.
Hi, all.
Hi,
Welcome,
Corey.
welcome.
Thank you.
We need to go to that space and have that level of discernment.
Yeah.
We really need to understand, when something is happening, it's happening for a reason. It's not happening against us, it's happening for us. And once we start to look in that direction, things would start to unfold. And as Laura rightfully said, we got to be open. We got to be receptive of things because remember, we asked for things. And once you ask, you got to be open to receive. And we have to all understand that the journey sometimes is kind of a little bit rough. It could be a rough ride, So we got to buckle up ourselves. And to buckle up ourselves is the tools that we accumulate in our toolkit that we could use in these moments and in these times. We got these tools. That is why we go through experiences. And as we go through different experiences in our lives, we gain the tools that we need in certain situations. We could able to go in our toolbox, get out these tools, and start to give ourselves the strength and the resiliency that we need to walk through when that time comes in front of us.
Yeah, that is true too. And to add another layer on that, that is why it's so important to ground ourselves daily and
Yes.
take time to pause with ourselves and refuel ourselves, practice our self-care, and use all our modalities, whether you be believer in meditation or whatever it is, so that we can be secure in ourselves, that with whichever space we are in transition or transitioning to, we are secure enough, we are strong enough, we have that resilience within us that we can embrace whatever is coming or what we're going towards.
And that takes time, right? To
That's
prime the mind, prime the body through nutrition, through meditation, through journaling, through coaching. This isn't, in the snap of your finger, though it can be, but we're just not skilled quite enough yet for that. But we can. But it really is. I don't want to, monopolize. So I know Corry just came in.
Yes.
Hi, we're talking about transition and empowerment and everything beautiful. So
all the good stuff.
yeah.
I can sense and my cells are dancing to jump into this conversation as I transition in here. Time and playing with space and time. I'm over in Europe, and I forgot that I'm in a time zone a bit behind, and that is a big piece of it. What you're speaking to is that needing for groundedness, and that needing to come into our power center. Otherwise, things do throw us around in this time space continuum. But when we're moving as our divinity, and hooking up with that aspect of ourselves, it is such a beautiful flow. And I can flow right in here now because I took the time today to remember who I am, and and it's so easy to flow in when we do that. Whereas I remember a Corry of many years ago, just really unsure of this power that we can all tap into. And this would have been completely destabilizing, and I would have been completely jacked up, and my nervous system would have been, and it's so, I celebrate that we're all coming together, all of our life journeys, teaching us different tools and beautiful potentials that we can put into practice, that now we collectively come here, and I can just celebrate and feel the grounded vibration that I've just leaned into. So it's really a joy to be here with all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Laura brought up a very important point about worthiness, because and resonance, when we're asking for something, but deep down inside we feel like we're not worthy, or we're not really resonating with the vibration we're asking for, then the universe has to say, well, let me give you the experiences so you can learn the life lessons you need so you can get to where you want to go. Because a lot of times we ask for things, yet we may not be at a point where we can really handle that. So we have to really be able to go through the experiences to gain the life lessons. Say you've only had a small amount of money and you're asking for a larger amount of money. Well, you have to get the experiences to be able to manage that amount of money. You can't just jump instantly from one point to one point, or say you've always been in terrible relationships and you're asking to be in a loving filled relationship with somebody that always supports you. You have to transition into being able to get to that point. You're going to have to learn certain things and go through certain experiences. Unfortunately, a lot of times some of them are very difficult, but you have to go through that to get the life lessons you need. And once you can assume those life lessons, and like Karen said, expand your toolbox and have the things you need to really get to that next point, then you can move on. Then you can get to what you really want to. But until then, you have to go through those experiences and really gain that life understanding that allow you to be the person that you want to be.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
Yeah. And again, energy, right? If we'll use the money analogy or the love analogy, if you've been on the negative end of the scale, and you are just dreaming big on the positive end of the scale, and that comes in, there's no way you're going to handle that. Your insecurities come up in a loving relationship. Your self-doubt comes up. Your worthiness comes up. All of a sudden you pull in some great person and they're being kind, and you're like, well, why? What are you up
Right.
to? What are you up to behind, right? Or money, right? It's a universal knowledge here that people who never had money that come into money, basically within about 12 months, they're broke again because the innate frequency is not aligned with that experience.
Yes.
Which brings us back to transition. If you understand that transitioning is helping, guiding, and supporting your future advancement, you then begin to flow with the life lessons that it brings. You then understand that all of these modalities and all of these moments of observation, interaction, and reflection, those become parts of your toolbox. They begin to help strengthen the muscles of mind, body, spirit, connection, awareness that were never really exercised to begin with. So we dream big because we see the flash on the outside, but divinity and the true nature within is not about all that bling, right? It truly is. And don't get me wrong, we all love luxury and beautiful things. That's important in the human condition. But that true nature, that true residency has to be connected to an energy that is authentic. And you cannot fool the universe. You cannot. They hear it, they feel it, they sense it. The gods, it's okay, whatever you believe in, they know, the universe knows. So authentic alignment with energy knows itself, and you cannot trick it. And transition is one of the mechanisms to bring you closer to that understanding.
Yes, that is so true. And the universe is always there to support us. So
Always.
don't be afraid. Take that leap. Those of you who are in listening to the call and will watching the replay, if you are pregnated with a dream that you're feeling that is too big, and you said, "Oh my God, can I?" Yes, you can. You are supported. Reach out to us, connect with us, bring that, unbirth that, bring that dream out, because the world is waiting for that dream. You're waiting for it. Bring it out. Birth
Yes.
it. So
And
that
don't doubt, right? Don't doubt. Suspend all the doubt and go for it anyways. That's a teaching mechanism. We're not saying ignore, just suspend and move through that power anyways. So even Corry, let's just say back then, if you were to have to merge in where it would have disrupted everything, if you were like, you know what, I got this, click on, come on in, talk. Okay, it's not an acting, it's a priming of the energy, it's a recalibrating of the energy, it's a training ground to show you I am living potential. And when I move into that new belief system, it actually will manifest, and we build on that. So it's okay to have the doubt, but suspend it and create.
Yeah, and Joan, what you just said, the universe is always conspiring in your favor.
Yeah.
In your favor. It's always conspiring in your favor. And our desire is the language of the soul. So if you are feeling pulled towards something, it's a calling. It's not selfish. It's a calling for you to step into who you came here to be.
Yeah,
That's all I wanted to interject.
No, I celebrate that. That's so powerful what you're saying, and all of that gets overlaid with so much of our conditioning. And until we get really curious about why am I hesitating? Why am I not jumping? That's a process too. That involves some transition too. It's very easy if we look back on something, on a decade or some decades, my 51 years now. When I look back, I see that certain moments I didn't have the capacity to even develop curiosity because there was just too many overlays. But it's okay. What you're all speaking to is so important to know. If you're listening and think, oh, it's just so heavy, universe is still there. It's like right now I'm in Bath, UK. UK is pretty rainy and cloudy, but that sun, it's always there. It's just overlaid. It gets overlaid. And then what happens is you get a momentum happening. At Corry, age 30, it was just shaking, just in a downward spiral. There was this little part of me thinking, there's got to be another way. Even if it's that's enough to just start to turn an upward spiral, and then trust exactly what everyone was saying is that the universe responds to us when we choose higher. It comes in. Even when we can't choose, it's there. But it will co-create and build a momentum. The just right person, the just right book, the just right situation, just to start to elevate and elevate. And that's also why you can lean in to get support at times. Now, still, even though I'm a healer, when I can't unhook something in my subconscious and it's just looping, it's like, hey, we're all here for each other. So I know I can always reach out too. And that starts to become a natural mode of being, so that anything triggering now, you can find that core hook and just let it go, and everything can unfold even more fluidly, so that a transition becomes something like we say. When I'm listening to everyone, I'm thinking about Michael Beckwith, how he says, instead of reacting against, he says, ask yourself, what wants to be born in me through this?
Yes.
I love that question. I so hug that question, because it's a really opening question, so that response of curiosity instead of reactivity can come through. So I'm just celebrating this conversation. It's so important for every one of us on the planet.
Wow.
Because life is change.
Yeah.
It's change.
You're absolutely right, Corry, because we need to be mindful of what we're feeding ourselves. That's absolutely important.
So true.
Because many times we would share with a friend how we are feeling, and there is something to be birthed. But that friend is not in that space to really understand exactly what we are impregnated with to birth, And sometimes you find all the noises, it kind of distract you from what the path that you're supposed to be taking. So we got to be mindful of what we are listening to, and believing ourselves, and as Laurie rightfully said, be worthy of yourself. And when you could go within and understand yourself, it doesn't matter the noise around you, you could be able to be unstoppable. You can be unstoppable and push past those self-limiting beliefs of others and of yourself, and push past and keep it moving.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that go back to Corry, that the word that you mentioned, capacity. The word capacity, because all of us as human beings, we really, and I think Barack did touch on that a little bit, we have to have the level of capacity that when everything, all the goodness and everything is coming into us, we really have to have that capacity to hold that and give us that momentum as to push forward in whatever spaces that we are working on or moving or gelling in.
And again, so much, I think the theme and what we're all saying, and Marissa back in the beginning with the mindset, I know my clients, when I help co-create with them, that contrast is the mechanism for advancement, for personal observation. They begin to feel more empowered. So even if we look at life, that when we came in and we created this pathway, it was all in place to get us to reconnect with that God force, that universal energy. This is the way I particularly chose it. I'm not quite sure why, because there were lots of challenges along the way. But boy, when you start to look at this journey as a self-actualized journey, as a journey of advancement, not only for self, but for the collective global betterment, now you can release the hold or the hook, as Corry said, a bit with ease and a bit quicker than before. So in your 30s, a hook might drag you down for a year, right? You prime, you prep, you open up this new toolbox. Now a hook could be 7 days.
Right.
Right? Or the transition, like with Marissa, now she may look back 10 years corporate, a 10-year relationship that you knew I shouldn't be here. Now, as you become more educated in your reasoning, in your purpose, in your potentiality, now you just don't sit in it as much. You don't sit in the quagmire as long. We've gained skills, we've gained insight, we've gained a level of empowerment. We're understanding the frequency of thought, how it connects to manifestation. Now we can begin to let ourselves off the hook with a bit more grace and a bit more gratitude that the lesson, as Barack said, is in place only for the experience to advance from it, not to lock it into place and repeat it.
Absolutely. That's so beautifully said, Laura. And
Yeah, thank you.
every day we have to reaffirm, remind ourselves, and watch how we talk to ourselves,
Absolutely.
because how we talk to ourselves really matters.
Mm.
And show ourselves that love, that grace, and compassion, because that's who we are. And remind ourselves that we are special, regardless what we're going through, whatever phase we are in. We are special, and I think it was mentioned before, every season in our lives and whatever we're going through, there is a lesson there. So not to look at it in a negative way, but look at it as a positive, because we're looking at what is the outcome and what is behind that to help us to propel and evolve forward. Bara?
I mean, everything everybody said is great. I think one of the things that stuck out to me that we haven't really talked about is, what Corry was saying. Once you take that step and once you start to let go of the fear and embrace the change, the universe will send the right book or the right podcast or the right person or the right whatever into your life. And once you really accept it and embrace it, it's amazing and incredible how the universe just starts to work in your favor. You just happen to go outside at this time and meet the right person, or you happen to go to this website and see exactly what you need, or get the right book, and that little piece of information that you're missing just happens to pop up. And I think a lot of times we don't think about that, but it's like the more you start to embrace change, the more you start to see these synchronicities in your life, and the more things start to line up for you. And slowly but surely, you start to get on a roll, and then you look back and you're like, wow, I've made such huge progress, and I didn't even know how I was going to take the first step. So I think that's a huge thing that we have to remember, is that once you really start to embrace it, the universe will line up in your favor. If you're destined to have it, nothing can stand in your way. Even no matter how big the obstacles are, no matter how big the gap of information is to where you need to go, everything will line up and you'll be able to achieve it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think, Brock, what you're talking about is like the hero's journey, and someone mentioned it before. And I think it's really powerful, one, to understand that our life is not just one transition. It's not like, oh, we have this major transition and now we're done transitioning. Like every time we're forced to change, we build our resiliency and we become stronger. So if you're facing a transition now, my biggest piece of advice to you is to find the evidence in your own life that you've done this before. And even if you're a person who needs proof, Google Hero's Journey Framework, and you can write your story in that framework. And notice that you're not at the end. And I think we think that things are so black and white. And if I don't make the right choice on one of these two paths, I'm going to fail. But realizing it's a continuous journey that continues to evolve and will continue to cycle. And so the more I think we can learn to accept and trust ourselves in our ability to navigate that, the less and less resistance and like struggle and tension we feel as we move through it.
Nice.
Wow, that's so
I have
nice.
to hop off, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm blessed. Thank you all. I'll be in touch. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
We appreciate it. And just quickly go back to you, Barack, because like how you said you say take the first step, and that is so true, because sometimes we got a big dream, whatever, a big project, whatever we're working on, and we are looking at a whole staircase. But if we can just take that one step, we would be so amazed because we have the right mindset. We are in the receiving mode. Things just started falling, and we making continuously making that step until we reach the top, and it's continuous, as you said, you mentioned, Marissa. It is.
Yeah, really, I love this reminder. It's a cyclical thing, you know, everything in nature coming in round form and expanding like a tree, or I think of a seed and how it has to be cracked in order for it to grow. And I really love what you're speaking to on this, both of you. I was just with a client yesterday, and it was so beautiful. 16 years old, and he had that eagle view perspective already. That he could. Laura's back.
Sorry, it's at 9:30. My next meeting.
Wow.
This is so fun. You and I are playing with time, Laura.
It's okay. I'll be in Europe next week, so.
Beautiful.
So good.
Beautiful.
We're just celebrating that, taking that higher perspective, that there's so much to a journey. And then now I'm thinking about Gary Zukav talking about it's Earth School. And we've signed up for all of these courses. I mean, even when Karen, when you were talking about all the modalities, I had to smile. Speaking of transition, we've been in 5 different countries, my family and I, and every country I had to have a breakdown moment, or year or month or whatever. It's essential to the Earth School because that set me looking for another healer or modality or a teacher or whatever. And then how it works is that we tend to get the healing, and some of us want to train in that. That was the way my soul developed. So all of a sudden I'm pocketing all of these things. Okay, energy healing in Japan. I'm here now in Bangkok. Like, it just was part of the Earth School training. So I love what you spoke to, Marissa, about the hero's journey. There's all those dragons to slay, and it's essential because it's the soul's expansion. So to have this client yesterday, 16, say, "Oh, I get it. I don't have to feel bad that I went through that." And to celebrate that this is part of my soul's journey. I thought, it's beautiful, the consciousness now, the level of awareness. And I've noticed that some of I call it the 4x4 years or months or moments, they seem to, the younger ones I'm working with, they seem to learn quicker. They seem to be much more aware of energy and their biofield and how to clear it. And so it's really exciting to think, wow, as we expand as a consciousness and as a humanity, these sort of journeys will maybe unfold in new ways. What have you guys, have you noticed that with transitions with different people you're having the joy of working with? Yeah.
The younger people, the younger humans. My daughter's definitely one of them. Yeah. I think they're coming in a bit more primed for their journeys differently. I think they're much more empowered. Not all of them, of course, but I think children that come through certain vehicles, you know, where parents or aunts or grandparents or community is accepting of that. Yes, I'm seeing that. I know my youngest daughter and a group of her friends are very enlightened, very enlightened. But, you know, one of my best friends and I started our journey when we were 13 years old, but none of our other friends were. But now I'm seeing that there's more clusters of people getting together that are searching a more, I think, aware place in life. And I think social media probably has a lot to do with that. I think that pendulum is swinging some of them right off to the other cliff over there, because it's too much on the outside and not enough on the inside. And I think they're being called to something isn't quite aligned, and what is it?
Yeah.
I think we're also going through I'm going to get meta for a second, but through an awakening as a collective.
Yeah.
And my belief is rooted in, you know, soul evolution and multiple lifetimes. And as we're reaching this massive turning point in the human evolution, I think more evolved souls have contracted to come in right now to help us navigate that transition.
Yeah.
To lift us up. It's really still like appreciating it from the human perspective and witnessing the change of the different generations that are being born now, and what they're being called to do at like really early ages. Like Laura, you said 13. My journey didn't start well into my 20s. But yeah, I think it's amazing that people now are being born so much more aware at a young age, because I think that's going to help us move in a really beautiful direction as a global community. Sorry, Carrie.
And we need it, right? We need it. We need to counterbalance the souls that maybe are not, they came through for whatever their obligation is. And right, with everything, there's just this beautiful contrast of light and dark, negative and positive. I'm not going to say good and bad, but I do think very quickly. I was talking to someone today about the quantum mechanisms that are now becoming so small that they're actually seeping out, collecting data, and coming back in. They're something your brain can't even imagine of what quantum is really beginning now. And you want to talk about meta, what's going to happen with AI for the good or bad of mankind here. Again, anywhere there's resistance, go into that resistance and transition through, because it's in place for our advancement. But there's so much knowledge and so much education and so much light and love and support and guidance that for anyone that feels disconnected, hopefully we can offer a moment of peace and a moment of collective love, that any transition you go through, there is a profound divine reason, and try your best to trust and see yourself at the other side of it.
Absolutely right, Laura. As I'm sitting here and I'm listening, I just want to give a message to the parents. Pay attention to your child. Your child may be giving you a message, because many times we as parents want to live our life through our children, not realizing that our kids came back here to live their own purpose. So we really need to pay attention what they're telling us, what they're saying, because we as parents need to come to the level of understanding that a child, as Laura rightfully said, and Corey and Marissa and Barrett, because these kids came in back here and they are just on the move. They have the wisdom, they have the knowledge, and they're ready to move. And because sometimes we as parents, we are not in that awakening state. We don't understand the level of their wisdom, the level of their intelligence. And many times we try to suppress it. So we as parents, we really need to pay attention to our children, what they are saying to us, be open to what they are saying, and just allow them to be. Because many times too, you find that you say, oh my God, this child is naughty. This child is behaving in a very naughty way, throwing a tantrum. Do you know exactly what's really happening with that child? Are you paying attention to the signals the child is giving to you? And because you are trying to suppress that soul becomes very angry in moments, and they come outbursts with that child. So we really need to pay attention to our children at this point in time.
That was
And maybe even the observance of what they're not saying, right? Also, Karen.
Right.
Or also tap in to, if your child is saying, I love to go out and play basketball after school, instead of saying, no, sit home, do your homework, know that that's their way of transitioning out of their day, taking a moment to relax. Like, really try to watch where are their moments of light and happiness? Where are they aligning and connecting, and support that more than the other, right? You're doing this wrong, or why aren't you doing it this way? And again, we all become walking algorithms of someone else's thought process, their belief system, what they value, how our parents and grandparents perceive the world. We've talked about this before. For me, it is the guardianship of the adult in the room to really understand that they came through me, and let me give them the very best of who I am, and give them that space of curiosity, of expansion, of compassion, and certainly of courage, so that they can advance into their brilliance and their potential. And it's tricky, right, for adults, because
Yes.
we're so conditioned,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Even Marissa in corporate, 10 years and making that transition, right? There had to be some movement of getting prepared. You don't leave the desk one day and create the new business the next.
Sure.
And I think we expect our children to know this without giving them the space and the time to be reflective and understand what transition can look like for them.
Sure.
Right. Right. And just to add another piece in there, it's so important of the people we surround ourselves,
Mm.
who is going to support us through our transitional period and our desires, our goals, but the people that support us. And today we just want to shout out to all the people in our lives that have supported us through our various transition in our lives from our early age to this point. Let's give a big shout out to all those people, show them love and gratitude
Yes.
through all those challenges, through all those hard times, supported us when the time we felt like giving up. And they say to us, no, you can do it. You're strong enough. And give us that level of strength when we didn't have it for ourselves and supported us. That's why we are here.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Joan. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
And to hear this community, I'm always giving a shout out to my Femigod
Yeah.
community, because
Yes.
this is a group, a community, a family, an ever expanding, growing family. So again, to every parent listening, and if you have a grandparent or an uncle or someone in the church or in your school system, there is a community. Well, there's a global community, but right here of people that do care, authentically have a genuine concern for the betterment of our global family, and coaches, books, podcasts. There's so much education to bring into your existence to help smooth the transitions. And I think this is something that Femigod, Soul, Light, and Body. I'm not exactly sure, Marissa and Corry, what you do, but I know you're amazing human beings. So your bit of beauty and genius that you add in, for all of you that know the science of empowerment, it's in my essence, it's in my cells. I can't contain the energy. I live this. We are here to advance, and we are
Yes.
here to help support each other in that advancement.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Such powerful words. My cells are dancing.
Yes.
I love to dance.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love this dance with all of you, and I really want to also chime in on the support of the children, and how we can, and what we're doing here together, and what Femigod is doing, and what we're all doing on our own inner journey is essential, because
Yes.
of the most effective thing we could, this is dovetailing with what Laura is saying. When a child is longing for something, they want a very regulated adult in the room. They're longing for that. We were longing for that. That's what sent us on our hero journey, because most of us were wounded because we didn't have that seeing. We didn't have that mountain there. And so all of it upcycles for good. Nothing wrong with that. It's part of the journey. However, what a gifting when we can be that in family with our kids. And
Yes.
it doesn't have to, there's no, it's too late. I had a later in life awakening. My kids had me in different, both forms as a very confused human, not disconnected from her beingness, to then wake up. And like I really love celebrate what Marissa said. It's an ongoing cyclical thing. So
Yes.
many levels of awakenings, many layers to come off. Yet interesting, so fun to see that my kids now, as teens and young adults, all very awake now. But they were 4x4ing a while with me too, and that was essential that they had that transition. But to have it with a mountain mama there who's regulated, I think the biggest compliment my daughter ever gave me was, "Mom," because I used to live in regret about that in the past, that the transitions were not smooth. This is for anyone out there who feels that, oh, I didn't offer that to my child. Now my daughter is 21. We're very much in harmony. Actually, our family motto is Choa. We lived a lot of years in Japan, so that means harmony. And we are in harmony now. And my daughter said, "Mom, you showed me that you can change, that a soul can change." And that is important too. So everything gets upcycled by universal intelligence. There's nothing lost. So to see the long view of these transitions and to see that they're all essential to the whole, and that we are in a time now where science is meeting spirituality. So whatever the flavor of a person's journey, however they want to articulate it, it's fine. And there's so many tools out there now. And it's so beautiful, even this blend on the call here, that everyone has a different way of saying a similar thing. And to celebrate that all of us are together on this, doing this together. What an incredible time to be alive and to be in community doing this together. We don't have to do this alone. That was an old, outmoded program. And now it's definitely collaboration and co-creation. So just honoring this group here and Femigod for all of this.
Nice. Very beautiful, Corry.
That's very beautiful. Yeah.
And I love the example of a mother and a daughter, but it could be a father or son, or it could just be, an outside guide. But just to be that example that we can change and transition and grow at any moment. Very quickly, someone reached out to me recently that read my book, and she's 68 years old, and she was crying, and she said, "If I had this book at the beginning of my life," but I said, "No, now you have it, and it's at its right time for its moment." It just changed a lot of childhood abuse. It was just amazing. And that just goes and supports what you're saying. There is no wrong time to awaken. None. If it's my grandfather awakened at about 78 before he passed, and it helped heal a lot of what happened in my childhood, knowing that he observed and received that moment of clarity helped heal what was so unclear through my childhood. So be open, be receptive, be creative in your journey of what an empowered life looks like, and really apply transitional times as tools, as mechanisms, as healing modalities to help future lessons go smoother.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Any words, Barak, before we leave?
Yes, no, I think speaking on the children, I think as we see the world get a little bit crazier and a little bit crazier every day, you are going to see a group of new souls that really start to question things and go within, and as they go within, they'll be able to shine their light more and more. So that's why I think you're seeing such an advancement with the younger generation, is because they're coming into a world that is so questionable, and they're coming in with their eyes wide open and being able to actually question these things and say, this doesn't make sense. Why is this like this? This isn't right. And they're willing to put in the work to see the changes. I think, like we've said, like sometimes when you get older, you get so stuck in certain modes of thinking and certain thought patterns. It takes somebody new to come in to really shake things up and say, look, there's a better way to do this. Just because you've been doing this for 20 or 30 years doesn't mean that's the correct way to do it.
Right.
And I think when we have those people that come into our life and shake those things up, then we can start to reanalyze things. And like Kara and Laura have said, giving them that space of support and being open-minded enough to say, well, we'll try it. Let's see how it works out. The worst thing we do is go back to doing it how we always done it, but maybe we'll come up with something better. And I think that, scientific mind of experimenting and seeing what works and getting different results and applying those to your life is so important. And I think a lot of times, it takes somebody new or somebody younger to come into our lives to really show us those things.
That's beautiful. And look at our children as a spirit.
Yes.
They are a spirit. They have their own light. And if we learn to look at one another from that perspective, it helps release the judgments and the insecurities and the doubts around the interaction. I always say that to my kids. How can we create this experience so that we both really gain something for it, that we can make the world a better place? So when you go out, you actually now can be a guide. One of my children works with children, and it's amazing what she learns at home and what she, all in her own way and all in her own unique way, is learning how to empower other people because she's learned that here.
Beautifully. Beautiful. Joan?
Awesome.
Sorry, Marissa was going to say something.
Oh no, I think I've come down. I shared everything that came through to share. This has been such an amazing opportunity. I do just want to take a moment to thank all of you, especially because I am the only person who is on this journey in my kind of circle. So having transitioned out of corporate and now having the opportunity to just be in the energy of people who are vibrating the same way and see kind of what's going on and are on this collective mission of helping the planet heal and helping the collective evolve has just been transformative for me, just to be in conversation with all of you. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared and stories. And I hope this isn't the last time we connect with one another.
Nope. We're part of Femigod.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you too for all you are already doing to heal the corporate part of America and the world. That your journey, you can lean into and understand things that are so important when you're working with people or just being with anyone and hearing their story. And you have a depth of understanding now that, well, like you said, it was part of your hero's journey. And thank you for taking your journey and sharing it here with us too. It's a blessing to meet you.
That is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And we thank all of you. I like what you mentioned, Corry, the word lean in. Because when we can lean into our purpose, we can walk uprightly with a level of confidence, a level of grace. And we know that this is our assignment. This is the reason why we're here. We can shine because it's coming from within. And we can have that light of illumination to shine that light on others. And that is how we come together collectively as a group and we collaborate. And that is how we become a change agent. That's how we make things happen. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to the audience who tune in today and make their comments, and those who were going to tune in on the replay. And it's just a beautiful discussion. And it had such a wonderful flow that we all enjoyed. And so we thank all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Today is an honor because we get to touch on a subject that a lot of people are experiencing transition at this point in time. And we are able to help them to understand that word, because that word has so many compartments. When you look at that word, it is so many compartments. and we were able to touch on each compartment to help you to understand that whatever you're going through, if you're going through a loss, if you lost someone, you may lost a loved one, how are you going to transition into living that new life that you're going to live now, you know? So when we have these modalities in our toolbox, we are able to really lean in and to understand exactly how this life works, how the life energy flow through us, and how we can understand this flow of energy. Energy is constantly moving. And remember, we are made up of energy, so we got to be constantly moving. Things are going to move out, things are going to move in, because there is a constant flow happening. But when we have our toolbox next to our side, we can always flip it open, go into it, pull out what we need, to sort it out what we need to use for whatever experiences or situations we are going through. We can always pull out, look at it, and refuel ourselves, refuel our minds, so we could able to move forward. So always keep that toolbox next to your side. If possible, strap it onto you. So you always have it, so you can able to move with it. Because sometimes you go into a work environment, there's so many things happening there. You got your toolbox. Just reach in, pull out what you need, and use it in that moment to really fuel yourself. Nice. Able to fuel yourself. Today, we just want to thank all the audience for joining us today and sitting with us for this 1 hour. I hope you've been taking your notes so you could have these modalities to move forward with your life. We want to thank the audience once again for sharing so much of value with us today. It's an honor to have you guys here on
Thank
Soul,
you.
Light, and Body. And don't forget to get in contact with each one of these guests. Go to the comments below, and you could get in contact with Laura, with Corry, with Marissa, with Barack, and Joan and I. We are here to serve you.
Connect.
We are here to serve you. So get in contact with us, whatever moments you're going through. If you need more clarity, just reach out to us. We are here to help you on this journey. That's our purpose here, to help you on this journey. We love you guys so much, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Love you guys.